Hey guys, back at it again with the continuation of our GUI series, and this time we're going to talk about JLabels and JButtons. The last episode we talked about JFrames, how to create a JPanel, and what a GUI is. So if you want to see that, the link is going to be in the description, and a ton of different sources are going to be in the description if you guys want to learn even more. So a label pretty much is just a way for text to be outputted onto the frame or the panel. So it just pretty much allows the user to see a message, just text. So the first thing you want to do when creating a JLabel, just the same way you created a JFrame or a JPanel, you just put in JLabel, type in the reference you want your label to have, equals new JLabel, and type in whatever you want your label to say. So I just typed in this is a label. Then if you want to change the color, for instance, of your label, all you have to do is type in label.setForeground in brackets, type in color dot whatever color you want in caps. So I typed in red. Then if you want to change the font size, maybe bold it, italicize it, all you have to do is type in label.setFont in brackets, type in new font, and then another set of brackets. In quotation marks, type in whatever you want your font to be. So I chose monospaced. And then comma, you can bold it if you want, italicize it, whatever. You don't have to, but you can. And then you could just change the font size. So I put my font size to 30. If you don't want to change the font, for instance, or bold it, and you just want to change the size, you could also just use the label.setSize method. And if you want to position your label in any way, you could use the label.setHorizontal alignment and the label.setVertical alignment. So this will basically just set your label to whatever position you want it to be on the horizontal axis, and this will pretty much just set your variable to wherever you want it to be on the vertical axis. You could put it to center, north, east, west, wherever you want it to be. But for this example, I'm just not going to use it. And then just to add the label onto the panel, which is the reason we created the panel in the first place, so we can add components onto the panel, is just panel.add, and in brackets, type in label, and it will be added onto the panel. And now what a button is. So a button is pretty much just a way for a user to interact with something. So when they click it, something should happen. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about how to do an action listener, which is basically what comes after the user clicks the button. So the button is pretty much just a way for the user to interact with something. So we're going to create a JButton by typing JButton, the reference to the button, equals new JButton, and then two brackets, click me. So when we run it, the button will say click me inside of it. So you can change the font of the button the same way you can change the font of a label. All you have to do is type in button. And you could create the button.setBounds method, which basically just changes the position of wherever you want your button to be placed. You could also do a button.setHorizontal alignment and a button.setVertical alignment. It works the exact same way as a label does. You could just, using those two methods, you could set wherever you want your button to be on the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. And the way to add your panel, your button to your panel is just by typing in panel.add and then button. So if we run the program so far, it will have this, and it will say Bob on the top left, and it will have our panel in the background on top of the frame. It will have our JLabel, which says this is a label in a monospace font in red, size 30. And the button does say click me inside of it with a monospace font, and it's bolded with 20 font. But as you see, when you click the button, nothing happens. So in the next episode, I'm going to show you guys how to create an action listener. So when you click the button, something does occur and something does happen. So stay tuned for that. Remember, if you want to see the previous episode, we talk about JFrames, GUIs, and how to create a JPanel. There'll be links in description, and check that out. See you guys.